Welcome, scholars. This the DadCypher.
One of the songs that I listened to when I was dealing with a lot of trauma was Tupac and Scarface Smile. That particular song right there, he talks about his struggles, his pain.
A kid so lost, though life is hard, carry on. Living in the projects, broke with no lights on.
Or no matter what you've been through, all the toxicity from family members, from community, from, the environment in which we live, the ghettos and the world that tells us that we are as men are nothing and have nothing to offer. He tells us that we have to wear your trauma as a badge of honor. Wear that on your sleeves. So it's not something that happened to you. It's something that you made it through. And in that particular song, he was saying a lot of us get lost in drugs and, in violence. And he said, busting shots, blindly trying to find Jehovah. He was saying we're trying to find God or escape and all these different vices, when all we have to do really is reflect, is to not only reflect, but to share our narratives, share our stories, and use that to create some sort of action. Let me tell you something. When you're dealing with trauma, it requires action. You can't just all of a sudden get the Holy Ghost. You can't all of a sudden go to a therapy session and think you're going to be just okay. It's going to take action on your part, renewing your mind. And when I hear that, it just shows me that song Smile lets me know that through all the rain and the pain and the prosecution that we sometimes endure, that we just need to smile and make it through. Now, Tyler, the Creator answer is definitely filled with homophobic lyrics and that sort of thing. But aside from that, I have listened to that song several times to deal with my trauma. In that song, Answer, I think he expresses a lot of anger that a lot of fatherless youth like myself endured.
Give a fuck and consider a sperm donor now. Fuck is in no coma. I'm changing my shit to hate.
He talks about the lack of protection, the lack of guidance. What I really like about it, though, it shows that even underneath all that anger of people that say, I don't need this, or I don't need to deal with my trauma, or I don't need to deal with my fatherless. In that song, he's crying out for help, because throughout the song, he was like, I wonder if I call, would he answer? So your dad may not answer, but that doesn't mean that you don't send that call out. You send that call out to get the help. You send that call out to get the answers that you need. And sometimes the answers that we need don't always have to come from the family members who weren't there. That particular song helped me to respect and be grateful for the mentors that I did have, like some of my professors, my Uncle Junior, students sometimes that I run across. You never know who God is speaking through. And so my answers may not have come from the people that, I may have wanted it to come from, but I did receive them. And so that's the importance of sharing your story.
There's a war in the streets tonight, and nobody's really feeling alright.
The part of the song that I really love when it's the hook. It was like, it's a war in the streets tonight. Basically, we as men of color are constantly facing war every time we step out. We are dealing with a society that doesn't see our humanity. We sometimes work in a workplace that doesn't recognize who we are. We deal with historical trauma. We deal with environmental racism. We deal with regular racism. We deal with all of those things. But what Nas' song is talking about is we have to somehow shield the war from the outside from coming inside of us. So one of the things that I really love about that song is like, yeah, in life you're going to be battle tested. Yeah, in life you're going to be scored. But the biggest thing that we need to do as dad is to make sure that we don't internalize that. Think of a ship in general, and this is a lesson that I learned from T.D. Jakes. He was saying that all the turbulence, all the waves hit the ship from all sides. But he said, as long as the water does not come in the inside of that ship, it won't sink. So I say all of this to say to you dads, you have a lot of circumstances, but don't allow those circumstances to define who you are. You gotta have, this is the importance of controlling your narrative. You gotta find a way to not let what you're dealing with on the outside impact who you are and your core values as a man on the inside. So that song War always keeps me level.
How long can I survive with this mentality?
This one is, I consider it like a modern day Muddy Waters. It's a bluesy type song where he's talking about how can I survive with this mentality. And the mentality is really the mindset that tell men that they're not supposed to show their emotion. All of those different types of things that we as men do, and we bottle all of that shit up. Really, one of the things that stick out to me in that particular song, you hear the voice of an innocent little girl, and she's talking about the loss of her dad who was shot. He was a victim of gun violence. And she talks about that loss and how she's not letting out her anger, how she's refusing to succumb to her pain, how she's like, and even to the point where it's causing friction between her and her mom, because she was saying she's slamming the door, she's not talking to her mom, she's not listening because of that pain. I think in that song he's trying to say we have to get in touch with our inner child. And what I mean by that is, if you listen to a kid, they're gonna, for the most part, they're gonna tell you the truth. You know, it's like, you know, if you ever brought a kid into the room and then they say something embarrassing, ooh, she ugly, oh, her breast stink, oh, his clothes look terrible. They haven't learned the societal customs of how to be quiet or how to ignore the things that we do when we get into the adult world. Well, in that song, Real Mentality, he's saying that holding everything in is what's killing us, and it's what's hurting us as a society. And when I think about my moments where I don't feel like I want to release or talk about anything that I'm experiencing, that Real Mentality, it helps me to release a lot of the pain. And it's like a blues song. It just, so I don't have to, drink a fifth of Henny and that sort of thing. All I have to do is just listen to that, and it kind of helps me to realize that it's okay if I release some of this.